Have you ever sat alone at night, wondering how someone like you, someone who understands so much, could still feel so trapped inside their own life? You know all the quotes, you've read the books, watched the videos, taken the courses. You can explain concepts like self-love, boundaries, growth, discipline, better than most. And yet, somewhere between all that knowledge, you're still stuck, still waiting, still holding your breath for a life that never fully arrives. If that's you, I need you to hear this. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not missing something. You're not too late. The truth is, smart minds often become their own prisons, not because they're weak, but because they learned to survive in a world that asked them to be strong instead of free. And today, I want to walk with you through the hidden doorways you've been missing all along, the ones that lead not just to more knowledge, but to the kind of freedom you can feel in your bones. Ready? Let's begin. Being smart never meant you were immune from being human. It's funny, isn't it? We grow up believing that if we just get smart enough, life will finally make sense. That pain will disappear. That struggle will untangle itself, if only we understand enough, plan enough, think enough. But intelligence is not a shield. It's a sword. And sometimes it cuts inward. You can know all the strategies and still freeze when it's time to act. You can understand trauma inside out and still feel paralyzed by your own wounds, because knowledge lives in your mind. But freedom? Freedom lives somewhere deeper, somewhere your brain can't quite reach. If you've ever felt trapped in endless planning or caught in analysis paralysis, you're not broken, you're brilliant. But brilliance, left unchecked, becomes a cage. You think about every possible outcome. You imagine every risk. You build contingency plans for things that haven't even happened yet. At first, it feels like control. But then, it starts to feel like suffocation. The walls you built to protect yourself become the walls that trap you. Overthinking isn't a flaw. It's a survival instinct. One you learned when life felt unsafe, and thinking was the only power you had. But thinking alone can't carry you across the bridge you need to cross. At some point, you must step, even when you're still scared, especially then. Let me tell you something that might sound strange. Most stuckness isn't intellectual. It's emotional. You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because doing it triggers something deeper, something tender, something that once hurt you, badly enough that your body still flinches when you get too close to freedom. Maybe it was the fear of being seen, or the terror of failing and disappointing the ones who believed in you, or the crushing loneliness that came when you succeeded, but still felt unseen. Smart people survive by building fortresses of knowledge, but healing doesn't happen inside a fortress. It happens when you dare to walk outside, barefoot, unprotected, alive. The smarter you are, the better your excuses sound. They're not flimsy. They're airtight. They're clever enough to convince not just the world, but yourself. I just need a little more time. I have to get it perfect first. I need to be more ready. But beneath every polished excuse, there's a trembling heart whispering, I'm scared. Scared of failing. Scared of succeeding. Scared of being seen in all your imperfect, messy humanness. Self-sabotage isn't stupidity. It's your mind's desperate attempt to protect your heart. But here's the catch. The life you're longing for is on the other side of everything you're afraid to feel. What if I told you, you don't need to be smarter. You don't need to study more. You don't need to plan harder. You don't even need to fix yourself. You only need to stop running from your own tenderness. The real breakthrough isn't when you finally outthink your fears. It's when you stop treating fear like a monster you have to slay, and start treating it like a small, wounded part of you, asking for your love. Growth doesn't mean becoming invincible. It means becoming more honest, more soft, more willing to walk forward, even while your voice shakes. Healing isn't about being fearless. It's about loving yourself enough to walk with fear instead of waiting for it to disappear. There's a part of you, maybe hidden under years of perfectionism and achievement, that already knows how to be free. Not free because you solved everything, but free because you stopped needing to. Imagine moving through life without trying to control every outcome. Imagine trusting yourself enough to fall and rise again. Imagine letting life meet you in your rawest, most real state. That's not weakness. That's power. The kind of power no degree, no plan, no certification can ever give you. The power of a soul who chooses to live, fully, imperfectly, now. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. In fact, please don't. Start with something small, something almost laughably tiny. One brave email you send, one boundary you hold, one dream you give yourself permission to move toward. Not because you're ready, but because you're willing. Let it be messy. Let it be imperfect. Let it be human. Because freedom doesn't come in grand declarations. It comes in 1,000 tiny acts of choosing yourself, when it would be easier to stay silent. You don't have to earn your way into freedom. You only have to remember, you were always worthy of it. You don't have to be smarter. You don't have to be braver. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be willing to feel, to trust, to move, even if your hands still shake. So tonight, if you're wondering whether you have what it takes to break free, you do. You always have. The only question left is, will you trust yourself enough to finally walk through the door? I'm already proud of you, and I hope, someday soon, you'll be proud of you too. Courage isn't loud. It's not the grand speeches. It's not the perfect Instagram post announcing your new chapter. It's not the flawless execution of a 5-year plan. Real courage feels quieter. It feels like sitting on the edge of your bed, heart pounding, knowing you might fail, and stepping forward anyway. It feels like sending the message you're terrified to send. It feels like showing up to the meeting even though your hands are sweating. It feels like forgiving yourself for the years you spent afraid. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the deep, trembling choice to move with fear sitting right beside you. You don't have to wait to feel brave. You just have to move, scared and shaking, with your heart still open. That's courage. That's enough. One of the smartest lies our minds tell us is, I'll start when I'm ready. But ready is a mirage. It recedes every time you get closer. You learn a little more, plan a little harder, and somehow the perfect moment still feels out of reach. Here's the truth. The perfect moment isn't coming. It was never supposed to. The only real moment you'll ever have is this one. Messy, unfinished, full of unanswered questions, but real. And that's enough to begin. Not perfectly, not confidently, but truly. And sometimes, true is better than perfect. Somewhere along the way, maybe you taught yourself, if I'm really strong, I'll figure it out alone. Maybe life showed you that asking for help was weakness, that vulnerability would only end in disappointment. But no one, not even the smartest, strongest soul, was built to heal alone. Healing happens in connection, in being seen, in letting yourself be messy and scared and still lovable. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. You never had to. Let yourself be helped. Let yourself be loved. Let yourself be human. It's not weakness. It's strength of the rarest kind. Most people walking around you right now are carrying hidden wars inside them. The confident boss, the brilliant artist, the smiling stranger on the subway. Everyone has battles you can't see. Everyone is healing something unseen. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not less than. You're simply human, doing your best, learning how to love yourself through the chaos. You're right where you're meant to be. And that's not a cliché. It's a truth deeper than anything your mind can calculate. You're not late. You're right on time. If big changes feel too far away, start smaller. Promise yourself one thing, something so small it almost feels silly. Today, I'll breathe when I get anxious. Today, I'll move my body for 5 minutes. Today, I'll remind myself that it's okay to not have all the answers. Tiny promises build bridges. Every time you keep one, you rebuild the trust you lost with yourself long ago. That trust becomes your freedom. Not overnight, not dramatically, but inevitably. Because when you start trusting yourself again, the world starts trusting you too. You don't become who you're meant to be by erasing your old self. You become them by loving every version of you that had to survive. The child who stayed silent, the teenager who pretended to be tough, the adult who overworked, overgave, overthought. Every version of you was doing the best they could. Every version deserves love, not shame. You don't have to become someone new to be worthy. You only have to remember who you were before the world told you to be afraid. And if you've forgotten, that's okay. You can start remembering today, one small, kind choice at a time. There's a door in front of you. It's been there all along. Waiting. Patient. Software. It doesn't require you to prove yourself. It doesn't demand you be fearless. It doesn't ask you to become perfect. It only asks you to walk through it. Not because you're ready, but because you're worthy, because you always were. So the real question isn't whether you'll succeed, it's whether you'll love yourself enough to finally let yourself try. Because the life you're dreaming of, it isn't out there somewhere, it's already reaching for you, right now. And it's not too late, not even close.